Hello and welcome to Jacked Up Being Frank. I'm your host, Jack Wannert, alongside my co-host, Frank Areno. We've got plenty to get into today. We'll start with we'll get into the Knicks' first four games and a few NBA storylines we actually think that are worth talking about. And don't worry, we're not going to overreact. It's just four games, maybe five for other teams or three, but it's whatever. We're so early in the season, can't really overreact. We'll also dive into the NFL. The Jets picked up their first win, and the Giants come up short against the division rivals. Didn't really come up short. I don't know why that's thing. They got dominated from start to finish. And of course, we'll get into the MLB World Series. As it's here, it's tied up 2-2. An amazing 18 inning game that I didn't stay up for. And the Blue Jays hanging in with the Dodgers. We'll get into that. Um, so let's start with the Giants. Do you have any thoughts on them as they fall? And I think you expected this, right?
Yeah, I expected the Giants to lose this game. I thought because it's a revenge game for the Eagles. It's in Philadelphia. It's so tough for the Giants to beat them twice. They did such a great job beating them on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago. I mean, that was a dominant performance for the Giants and the coming out party, I guess you could say, for Scatterboo and Dart. So they weren't going to repeat that. And then going to Philadelphia and win, like that that would have been just absolutely shocking if the Giants did that. I mean, would you want the game to be more competitive than it was? Yes, but the Scatterboo injury really just took
Yeah,
the wind out of the sails for the Giants. So it is what it is in terms of losing to the Eagles. I don't make a big deal about it. You split with them. Um, but it's a Scatterboo injury. That's the story of the game, and now the main story for the Giants. I mean, it's just a devastating injury. So, it obviously changes this season, but then it could change the long term. Like, you hope that he goes through the process and fully recovers. It's going to be a long road for him ahead. But it's a really serious injury, so you hope that he's able to come back the same, and it doesn't have long term effects where it significantly impacts his career. You
yeah,
don't want you
that
don't
was
want to get alarmist about it, but that was a gruesome injury. I refused to watch it. I didn't see it live. I was watching the Jets game. I was keeping tabs on the Giants on Sunday, but I was primarily watching the Jets. But when I heard about what happened and heard it described, I was like, I am not watching it. I don't want to see. I don't want to see something like that. It's just gruesome. So I mean, it's to me, it's Scatterboo, Scatterboo, Scatterboo. Like that's the story right now for the Giants. Dart obviously is a big story too, and how he progresses the rest of the season. But without Scatterboo now, already Neighbors is out for the season. It makes it a lot more challenging for Dart and the offense. So, I mean, Jack, just what are your thoughts on the Giants overall, the Scatterboo injury, and then what you're what you're looking for going forward with the Giants in this season?
Yeah, this is a big injury because the Giants, Jackson Dart's great, and Jackson Dart looks great, and it is going to be it looks to be a great player in the future the way he's playing. But the Giants really work their offense through the run game and get it into when in his rookie year, Jackson Dart's rookie, they're trying to make it like easier on him, trying to get to third and four, third and three with Cam Scatterboo's running ability. Now they've been able to get into third and three situations, easier situations, but it just takes everything out for the Giants. Now they have to throw the ball more. Not like Jackson Dart sticks. It's just because look at the wide receivers. You really don't want to throw the ball that much. I mean, it's hard because that was the identity on offense of this team. I know, and Jackson Dart's running ability definitely off of that too. Just the running of the team, just the head down, pounding that they would give defenses, and that was the not like the Giants would have won any games, but that was the identity of the team, and now it's just took away. Not like they would have won, but that is huge. I mean, can the Giants even score anymore with that receiving core? But it's a big test for Dart, and a big test for those receivers because a lot of the pressure was taken off from Seattle, getting into third and threes where you don't have to run. where you can just check it down if you're Dart and get that first down. But now you're going to be more 3rd and 10 situations or 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. So that's going to change the team around. And, you know, the Eagles just took it to them the whole entire game. But ever since that Scadaboo injury, I mean, they looked good even before. Like they were responding. The defense is what it is. I mean, that was just terrible performance. But after that 65-yard touchdown, they respond. Cam Scadaboo has a TD has a catch, and then uh, Saquon has a catch for a touchdown. Like they're responding here. Gano gets a field goal to make it 14-10. Then maybe that's, but they're responding, and down goes Scadaboo. So there is definitely hope in this team, but it's going to be all relying about on that run game, and they lost it today. I mean, they lost it on Sunday.
Yeah, like it just it really changes the season. But again, like look, they weren't contended for the playoffs. We know that. It's so devastating though. Like they're psychologically, I think in that game against the Eagles, the team was clearly affected and understandably so. I mean, an injury like that to a key player, a guy that's provided such a spark for the team. It's be interesting to see how that affects the Giants going forward. But it's just such a shame for them for the rest of the season. Like you're now not going to have that 1-2 punch of Dart and Scadaboo leading that offense. So it really, it's like if they had just lost the game on Sunday and say they lost big, like they did, it would have been like, okay, like disappointing, but you move forward. Tough spot. But now it really puts a dark cloud on the season. And it's like, look, it's not an excuse to just fold up your tent and mail it in. But it just, before this, like even like the Denver loss, like they blew that lead in the fourth quarter. It was like, all right, like tough loss, blew the lead, should have won the game, but okay, like, I think I think they'll be all right going forward. I don't think it's gonna, derail the season by any means. But this injury now, it's like it really takes the wind out of the sails for the Giants. It takes away a lot from what they've been doing. Again, they still have their young quarterback, they still have Dart. But as we've been talking about, it just affects the whole offense and then therefore affects the whole team. So it's a rough one. Like there's no way around it. Like it's a really rough injury, and you hope for Scadaboo just personally he recovers fully, he'll be all right. But then for the Giants, it's a really it's a tough situation. It's a tough thing to have happen, and now they gotta just deal with it as they go forward this season and try to make the best of it. But I think they're in for a struggle the rest of the way. Like it was gonna be tough enough to begin with, a very tough schedule, a team that's progressing, but still a team with holes and a team that has a lot of work to do. But I just think they're really up against it for the rest of this season.
Yeah, they are going to be up against it, and like they were before, but still, I mean, with the injured neighbors now, you would say if Scottaboo's out, you have neighbors, and you could now become a passing offense and
Yeah,
see
I mean,
what
you got
Tyler,
both those guys out. I mean,
yeah,
that's big
see what
time.
Tracy can do if you really want to start running the ball, see what he can do. But now it's just like you really don't have anybody in the. You have Wandell Robinson. That's about it. He's not. He's a slot receiver.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like imagine the Giants had both Neighbors and Scatterboo healthy and playing. I mean, like my goodness, like you got Dart, Neighbors, and Scatterboo. I mean, you're excited as can be for the rest of the season what those guys could do together. And now it's just it's tough. Like injuries happen in football. Like it's gonna happen. So you have to be able to deal with it, and you need depth, and it's not an excuse. But to lose both those guys, it really puts a damper on the season. Like what could have been this year, not in terms of the playoffs. They weren't making the playoffs even if they had Neighbors and Scatterboo, but just the development of the offense and the development of the team. It really does set them back.
Yeah, it does set them back because I think that Cam Scadaboo and Jackson Dart have very good chemistry on the field, but they could have built it even more throughout this season, and then you get Neighbors back, but right now you're missing Scadaboo for a long time, and um, but yeah, I mean, you see next year you get Neighbors back, so it's they're gonna have to. It's gonna be a struggle for them in the rest of the season, but they're gonna just trust in Dart, see if he can make plays for them. I mean, he's a playmaker, so they'll see what they can do there. But it's gonna be a hard um,
Yeah, I don't
couple
want to
of.
say it's all about Dart, but it's mostly about Dart the rest of the season, and it already was to a large degree. Um, but he's the guy that gives Giants fans hope right now, and he's the guy to watch, and he's the reason to watch the rest of the season is to see his development. And yeah, look, you hope some of their other young players, on both sides of the ball, are able to develop, and you see progress from them too. But we know in the NFL that the quarterback is the most important position by far, and most important position probably in all sports. So, for the Giants, it's really mostly about Dart's development for the rest of the year, and hoping that by the end of the season you say, what, man, this guy's the real deal. And like people already think that already, and I think it's true. But they got 9 games left. So at the end of the season, early January, you want to be looking at it and say, man, we really got the guy in Dart. Like this guy's going to be an all pro type guy, and a guy that you know is going to be the quarterback for the Giants that helps them chase the playoffs and then eventually chase their next Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's just about you know being content at quarterback. Like, I mean, it's not like lowering the bar. Like, yes, Jackson Dart, All Pro. Like, you can think that after the season, but I think that he this is. I lost my thought.
You talk about Dart.
Yeah. I think this is a big season for him, and it's a huge season for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, rookie year, and he's been really impressive. So it's just really for him, it's
Yeah.
it's
What
keep
I
doing
was
what he's
saying is,
doing, but it's going to be more challenging now. Like they already lost Neighbors, and now they lost Scadaboo. So yeah, it's going to be more challenging for him without those guys. But you know what? Like the quarterbacks that really are the real deal. Look, he's a rookie, so it's different. But the quarterbacks that are truly the real deal, like they're able to overcome injuries and overcome the lack of personnel. So, it's a lot to expect from whatever. I guess he's 23 years old, whatever he is, rookie quarterback. It's a lot to expect under these circumstances. But, I don't think like all of a sudden now his season is going to go in the tank because he doesn't have both Neighbors and Scadaboo. So I still think there is the expectation to see him play well the rest of the season. He's going to have his struggles. There's no doubt about it. And that's not alarming. Like a rookie quarterback's going to have struggles for sure. But you just want to see that progression continue. And if that's the case, by the end of the season, as Giant fans, you gotta feel good about that. And then you get Neighbors back next year, and Scottaboo, it sounds like he'll be back next year. And you just hope that everything goes really well in his recovery. And then you're looking forward to next year with those guys back, with Dart. You go into the offseason, and then you just keep building it. Like there's still plenty of hope there for the Giants, and the future looks bright. But it's just so devastating to lose Scottaboo in that fashion. It's there's no way around it. Like it puts a damper on the rest of this season.
yeah, after the season, you got to be content with your QB if you're the Giants. Not like that's a low. Well, that sounds like a word that's kind of like a low bar, but he's gonna do great things. But you want to be content, and all these years the Giants. I mean, they kept Daniel Jones for 6 years, but there's a lot of uncertainty at the QB position for the Giants. So they need to feel like they have their quarterback.
Yeah, I
set
mean,
in
they want to be more
stone.
than content. I mean, they want to be
Yeah,
really optimistic about their quarterback, which right
yeah,
now they are. I don't think that's going to change. I mean, he's not going to have like some drop off or like, oh, he's not the guy. Like, I think he clearly is the guy. I think he's shown that. Um, you know, I don't know how good he's going to be, but it really looks like this guy has the chance to be the real deal and an all pro type of guy. Um, so again, like I think at the end of the season, you'll be able to say, look, this is the guy, this is the quarterback for the Giants going forward for many years to come. But it's just unfortunate the fact that they don't have Neighbors and now they don't have Scattaboo. Like it would be really great to see those three perform together for the rest of the season and see them develop together. But that's the reality of the National Football League. There's a lot of injuries and there's devastating injuries, and it happens a lot. So it is what it is in football.
yeah. I mean, like you said, I think it was devastating, and you want the rookie season to be like, you want to be like, as you want him to have a bunch of weapons. You want him to feel like he's got a running back, he's got a wide receiver like Neighbors, but this is really uncharted territory for a rookie. For him not to really have a lot. I know it's crazy to say, but for him not to really have a lot around him, but I feel like he'll make do, and that's also a big test to feel overly optimistic is if he makes do, not like they're gonna win anything at all, but if he makes do and the offense is at least semi decent, that can make another scale for you being feeling overly optimistic of what if this guy comes back next year, and what if Neighbors comes back next year, not this what if Neighbors comes back next year, we had some whatever. You need to feel optimistic about that quarterback, so I think this is a good test for him to feel confident with him as your quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test. I mean, he's going to have to carry the offense and be resilient and show toughness, and he's already done that. So again, I mean, like uh, he's going to be the guy. I don't think you have to worry about that. It's just again, it's unfortunate with the injuries, the big injuries. It's going to definitely make it a lot more challenging this year, and there was going to be struggles anyway. But I think there'll probably be more struggles. Um, and the Giants' record at the end of the season is not going to be good. They're going to lose most of the rest of their games. Um, but again, you want to see that development and progress from Dart. You want to see it from other young players. And you see about the head coach. I mean, I think Dable's going to be back, and I think he should be back, barring the rest of the season being a disaster. But I think he'll probably wind up being back. Him and Dart have something good going, and then you're going to the offseason and you're building a roster for next year. Free agencies. You look at trades. You got the draft. And then you're going into the training for the next season with OTAs and training camp, right? So there's a long process ahead for the Giants, but it's all about building for that future, and going into 2026. I'd say as a team that knocks on the door of the playoffs. Like I don't know that you're going to go to 2026 as a Super Bowl contender, but you want to go into 2026 where you say, hey, like we got a chance at the playoffs, and then you go from there.
Yeah, I think it's just progression from the team, and it really does halt the not like the Giants are gonna win anything, um, but
You just
um,
never know in the NFL. Like again,
yeah,
I think the conventional wisdom of the Giants is okay. Like you're not going to build it to a point where they're a Super Bowl contender next year. You never know in the NFL. You really don't. But I think you want to go to next year with. It's not like this year. Where it's like okay, you got no chance at the playoffs, and we just want to see progress. Like next year, you're going to want to see progress. You're going to see it even. You want to see even a bigger jump. But I think you want to go to next year where you say, okay, we got a chance at the playoffs. Where you build the roster to a level where that's the case. And look, there's a long way to go. There's a lot to do there. That's not the focus right now. But for the Giants, it is all about the future. It's not about this year in terms of winning anything.
Yeah, and well, it does stink for the progress of your stars being hurt. But you can still see progress with your quarterback, and that's what we're gonna see with the Giants. And next season, they get guys back, and the progress can really start going, as you said. So, do we want to change topics to basketball?
Yeah, before we do that, just real quick, the Jets won a game.
Oh,
Yay!
sorry.
That's
Sorry.
all I have to say is yay, they won. Like, look, I'll say this, Shaq. It's really nice to win a game. You're a member of the Jets, you're a Jets fan. Nice to win. Look, first win. The objective of sports is to win. So, you feel good about it. You win a game. The way they won, they came back. They showed resilience. The offense was terrific. The offense was outstanding. Now, I give the offense credit, but the Cincinnati defense was abysmal. It was so bad. So that was certainly a contributing factor. But credit to the Jets and their offense and their resilience. The 2-point conversions they went for, which I was like, I don't know about going for two in these situations. I understand why they did it. It's the new analytics way of doing it, which I don't particularly like. But look, it worked out. They made those 2-point conversions, which won them the game. So Aaron Glenn made those calls. Like those calls weren't just like on a whim going for two. I mean, that's the plan. I mean, that's the analytics
You
way
went
of
for the
doing
win. I
things.
mean, why not? I think it's also like Euro and 7. Why not? Like it's not just
Well,
like
I
I
don't
don't
think it
know.
was a matter of that being 0-7. Again, I think that's what Aaron Glenn does because he relies on the analytics. The analytics say go for two. I don't agree with it, but it's like I can at least see why they do it. But anyway, like not to get hung up on that. Um, just again, like you feel good about winning, nice to win. But here's the thing: that win changes absolutely nothing. It changes nothing about where the Jets are at. It doesn't. It shouldn't. If it does, I don't know what you're looking at. Not you, just in general. If you feel better about the Jets' future because they won that game, like I don't know what you're watching. I don't get what your thought process is. They're like that win does absolutely nothing in terms of
On the
what the
Bengals
Jets'
are not a
future
real
outlook
football
is. They
team.
don't have a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers should have been the quarterback. I thought that from the get go. That is not hindsight. That is not second guessing. So like there's nothing that changes. It's not all of a sudden, oh, the offense is great. No, the offense played great, but they played against an abysmal defense. The Cincinnati defense was so bad, Jack. I don't know how much of the game you saw. It was so bad, like just as bad as it gets. And the Jets defense was bad. Now the Jets got stops when they needed to. So big credit to the Jets defense. They got stops on 2 drives in the fourth quarter, including the last one. So they stepped up in the big moments. Definitely credit. But overall, the defense played poorly in that game. Um, but so it's like, the Jets defense the prior 2 weeks played well, and then they played poorly for the most part, but got big stops in that game against Cincinnati. And then the offense is not good. It's not a good offense. They had a great day. Nothing, absolutely nothing changes in terms of the Jets' future. It's still a very bleak future. It's still one where I say that there's not much hope. It's still a miserable franchise. They're still going to lose most of their games the rest of their way. So it's like, feel good, nice to win. If you're a fan, great. Jets won. They're still abysmal and they're still a train wreck.
Yeah, I mean, one win doesn't change anything. I mean, as you say, the defense for Cincinnati feels like a good game, but it's whatever. I mean, they they got the win. Good for them in the locker room. Must have sucked to be. I mean, it does suck to be 0-7. Not a question, but must be good for the guys in the locker room. They finally get a win. So, um, let's transform into some basketball. Knicks first 2 games look great. Now these last two, I mean, they've been something. I think the new coach and his system and all that stuff. I think it's a switch. I mean, it's definitely
Kaya
a
Clark Jones to the main office, please. Kaya Clark Jones to the main office, please. Thank you.
that scared me. Um, but I think new coach, you'll definitely see some growing pains, and um, they've shown. But the first two games looked good. I mean, we were 3-point ball was dropped, and they were working inside. Everybody was working together, and even the first game, I think, was huge too because Karl Anthony Towns and or was it the second game? I have no clue. One of the first two games, Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson shot terrible, just straight up terrible, and they won it. Jalen Brunson, he shot 5 for 18, 27%. Karl Anthony Towns shot 5 for 12. I mean, it's 41%, but they won the game. And it was thanks to all the other guys and the depth. And I think that was just cool to see in game one that even if Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson have a bad game, they can get picked up. But these last two games have been very inconsistent from the role players, haven't gotten production um, other than Brunson. Definitely not for Karl Anthony Towns, giving you nothing. He doesn't like posting up players anymore. I don't understand that. He doesn't like calling for the ball, so it's cool, great. But Jalen Brunson's great, and we know that. So, and also McCoverages has also came to play, which is good. I think that he's one of the players that have benefited from a new coach in the system of getting more corner three looks. I think that's good for him. Um, he's getting in rhythm, which is good. I think it's good because last season was very bad. Last season at times was very bad with that shot. So it's good that this season he's doing better. And yeah, I mean the Knicks' philosophy has definitely changed offensively. It's more touching the paint and kicking out, which I would like to. I don't think the Knicks have been going all the way to the paint. So and they've been kicking out for too many threes. I feel like OG Anobi has settled way too much, and that is the modern NBA. But I don't care. It's a modern NBA, but still, I mean, you can still get to the paint. I don't want to hear that. Like the Knicks have been a notorious bully ball team getting in the paint, so I don't want to hear that. Oh, the Knicks shooting too much threes. If I say that, that's not like, oh, Jack, that's a modern NBA. What are you saying? Obviously, they're going to shoot too many. That's not what the Knicks were. I mean, it's not what the Knicks were. They were a bully ball team, and I think that they can be that while also spraying out for threes. But right now they are settling for threes and they aren't hitting them. I mean, it's kind of hard to say they're settling if I mean they could shoot. They're good looks. There's just too many threes going up, but they're
15
all
for
good.
54 against
Yeah, was that a
the
tie?
Heat.
I think it was something a tied was it a tied franchise record for threes or something like
Yeah.
that? Um, I mean, there were a lot of threes, but it also didn't help that none of them went in. So, yeah, I think the philosophy of driving and getting open threes, I think the philosophy is good. I think touching the paint, getting open threes is good. The philosophy is fine. I really like it. I mean, it would be a philosophy that I would talk about. Is getting to the paint. That's just basic basketball, um, but I just feel like the Knicks are really need to find the fine line between both of that because especially if you aren't going to hit from three and players like OG Anobi who are shooting and I feel like they're just relying on a 3-point shot. He's more than that. Not like he's the greatest ball handler in the world. He can get to the paint. I've seen games. I've seen even in playoff games him get to the paint, score, dunk, use his physicality, use his strength, and get inside. And he's been selling for a lot more. So I think they need to find a better fine line between that. And don't give me it's the modern NBA. I understand, but it's I've seen evidence of OG Anobi driving the paint. So him relying on threes is definitely something to monitor. So
Yes, I'm looking at the 3-point attempts. So when you started talking about threes, that caught my attention.
it definitely did. I
I
knew you
looked
were
it
going
up,
to
and it
say
says
something
here
about that.
last season says that last season the league average per team was 37 and a half 3-point attempts per game. And it's up significantly. This is incredible. Like 2014, it was 22.4 attempts per game per team. 2004 was 15.8 per game. There's a 37.5 3-point attempts per team per game last year. I don't know what it is this year. I mean, it's early on, small sample size this year. But the Knicks, they've been over that average of 37.5 their first 4 games. I mean, I was looking at it before. I don't remember it offhand. But 3 of the games, they were in the mid-40s, I believe. Maybe one of the games they were around 40, but whatever. Like they were in the 40s, like mid-40s. And then the Heat game in Miami, they shot 54 threes. They were 15 to 54. So it's like, 54 is way more than what the average is in the NBA today.
Yeah,
So that's the thing. It's
ridiculous.
like,
None
all
of
right,
them were
like if
going in.
you're
Was as
shooting
a fan.
45 threes, like that's significantly more than the 37
Well,
and a half.
that's not the Knicks that we kind of know from last season. I know it's a coaching change, great, but that is not what we saw. We saw the Knicks, not attempt a lot of threes last season. And yes, it is a breath of fresh air to do something different. But when it's not working and you're continuously shooting threes, that's where something had to change. And I understand, if they're open, take them. But there's a lot of threes that, especially Quality Towns takes, that are ridiculous. And
well, here's another thing I'm looking up, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who obviously won the championship last year. They attempted 36.1 3-pointers per game last year. So I'm just going by them because they're the champions. They're the team that everybody's chasing. So I know there's different offenses, but like 54 3-pointers is ridiculous. And even 45 in a game I think is too much. But 54, to me, you should never be attempting 54 threes. What is that? That's way too much reliance on the 3-pointer. You want to have balance in your offense. I know it's one game, but it's again, they've attempted over 40 threes in each of their 4 games. They're in the mid-40s, 2 or 3 of them. And then the 54 attempts against Miami. It's just is that what their offense is going to be? Is that what Mike Brown came in? He's another Joe Mazzulla, and that's what the Knicks are going to be? I mean, you tell me, you're tuned in every second of every game. So, is it going that way, or is the 54 an outlier? Okay, the 54 is an outlier, but are they going to be a team that's shooting 45 threes per game? Because I would say that's too much. And again, I'm just looking at the numbers. Oklahoma City, they attempted 36 a game last year, and then this year, I don't know how many games the Thunder's played. I mean, a few like everybody else. It says they've attempted 33 per game. Small sample size. But again, they're the champions. So I'm looking at a team that, everybody's chasing. So again, I don't like the style of play today in the NBA or in basketball in general. But I don't think it's conducive to winning. I don't think the Knicks are going to win a championship if they're be jacking threes like that.
No, and I don't think that he's Joe Mazzulla, but I think that the thing about it is that the Knicks last season were, I think, way under the average. So they're going to have more threes. You're bringing a different coach. It's not Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is the ultimate opposite. He's no threes. I think no threes. We're going to get inside, and, if the threes are open, take them. But Mike Brown's really strict on, we're going to touch the paint and we're going to kick out. And it's been on the players that have touched the paint that have been kicking out. It's not, I don't think, Mike Brown's fault. I think that it's more ball movement, and I feel like the ball movement had led to threes, and they need to switch that up more. I think Joe Mazzulla, Mike Brown is way more adaptable. He's going to change his thing around, and if he's going to change the ball movement around to make sure he gets.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a stubborn guy like Mazzulla. Mazzulla is just so dedicated to his way of doing things. He's got an arrogance to him. He's a guy where it's he's not going to give up on his philosophy. I just looked it up. The Celtics are so far shooting 46.3 3-pointers per game, which is second in the NBA so far to guess who?
The Knicks.
The New York Knicks. So do you really want to model yourself after the Celtics? And I don't want to be alarmist, but I'm just looking at it. It annoys me. It's I hope that this is not what the Knicks are going to be this year.
I hope not too, but I hope that they I hope that they eliminate and also the scariest part about it is that they haven't been able to hit their guys in their spots like Carthy Towns in the paint to get easy twos. That's one of the parts that I think Mike Brown will change. Will get the ball to Carthy Towns and I mean, if the 3-pointer's there, I think the philosophy of getting the ball in the paint, kicking out, that is fine. And he's been trying to put his philosophy in for the first few games, and he'll switch it up, and then we'll use growing. He'll change it up. Not his whole entire philosophy, touching the paint, kicking out. That's good, and getting out in transition and that stuff. But I think the Knicks can get out in transition and listen to Mike Brown's philosophy and get inside. I think it's been a lot of jacking up threes in transition, a lot of that type of stuff, and they can get inside when they have players that can score inside. OG Anunoby is shooting too many threes. I keep saying it over and over. I mean, it's not like shooting all of his shots are threes. I mean, you're shooting. I'm going to bring up the Heat game for him. Yeah, let's bring up that game. That game was fun, right? 4 for 13 from the field. He was 4 for 12 from 3. 4 for 12 from 3. He was 4 for 13 from the field. This guy is not just a 3-point shooter. He gets paid $200. He gets paid like a max player. He is not a spot up 3-point guy. So they'll change that around. Mike Brown will look at that and change around and enable him to use his size more often, get in the paint. Joe Mazzulla ball is crazy. Joe Mazzulla just throw up the 3-point shot. Mike Brown has a philosophy to get the 3-point shot to work and get the ball movement to happen. I think the philosophy of getting ball moving, getting more movement, player movement, and ball movement, and getting open 3-point shots, getting open layups, and all that stuff, that is fine and that's great. But when it ends up with too many threes and too many of one way of just a 3-point shot, you're not getting any twos. That's where you have to change that philosophy just a tiny bit. But ball movement, player movement, what Mike Brown has done, his philosophy is great. I think that's great, but you just have to, kind of sometimes you have to go out of it and have to get inside and make yourself more.
Well, I just think it's logic in basketball.
Yeah.
You need an inside game. You need an outside game. I mean, they've largely taken the mid-range game out of the game, which I don't agree with. But
which Mikal Bridges is doing great at, but that's only shots are taken.
I mean, you got to be versatile. You got to be able to do it inside, mid-range, outside. Like, it's just logic. It just, again, the modern way of playing, they go away from the fundamentals. And with the 3-pointers, like, again, I was looking these stats up. Oklahoma City last year, Indiana last year, New York last year, they were all roughly in the mid-30s in terms of 3-point shot attempts per game. The Celtics were at about 42. So that's a significant difference. The Celtics were 7 3-point attempts more than the Thunder, the Pacers, and the Knicks last year. So, like, let's say, okay, like your average should be, around 35, mid-30s, mid to upper 30s, you want to say. And if you have some games where you attempt some more threes, like you have some games where you're in the lower 40s or mid-40s, okay. Maybe some games it's the other way where you're shooting, 30 threes or 25 threes. So it's game to game, right? It's not always going to be right there at your average at around 35. But to me, there should never be a game where you're shooting 54 threes. There's something wrong if you're shooting 54 threes.
Yeah, it's just.
And I'll be fair. Like, you can say, okay, if you're shooting 15 threes, that's too little. I mean, like, fine. But, like, it shouldn't be that extreme.
It shouldn't be that extreme at all because, it's been feeling like, if the Knicks shoot the ball from 3 well, they're going to win. If they don't shoot the ball from 3 well, they're going to lose. And that sounds so, like, dumb and whatever, but the Knicks haven't played like that in the few. Like, they have, I know it's the coach, but they have players that can put their head down and go to the paint and score and make sure that they can beat the Heat on a random weekday, even if they're shooting 27% from three. I mean, that's
Yeah.
terrible. But while shooting less and getting inside, like it feels to me that if the Knicks shoot bad from three, they lose. If they shoot well from three, they win. That's where you get a little Celtic-y, and that's where I get the stuff that Joe Mazzulla and all the other coaches do that too. And it's
Yeah,
the
look,
modern NBA. I
I'll
think
give
in
Mike
general.
Brown this. Mike Brown is a more
Yeah,
adaptable coach than Missoula. Like Missoula is an ideologue. He's stuck in his ways. He's going to do it the way he wants to do it. The Celtics aren't changing. With the Knicks, Mike Brown is a more adaptable coach. I don't think he has the ego that Missoula does. I don't think he's as ideological. So I expect there to be adjustments. And look, I'm gonna say that the 54 threes in a game is an outlier. I hope it is. But
I hope it is, and I hope that Mike Brown's the one to tell them to chill out. I hope that he's like,
yeah, and again, like I'm not talking about this from a perspective like, oh, like sound the alarm, like there's something wrong with the Knicks. No, but we're going to be talking about the Knicks throughout the regular season, and if we just say, okay, regular season doesn't matter, whatever, well, then there's nothing to talk about. But it does matter. Look, it's going to be all about the playoffs once they come, but the regular season does matter, and what we'll do on our show, and then what just should be done when it comes to watching the Knicks is how they progress throughout the season, what the offense looks like, what the defense look like, and all these different factors, and then we break it down and analyze it. But so far, again, it really stands out in terms of the 3-point attempts. And if they're going to be one of these teams that's just jacking up threes, I don't think it's going to work out for them. And I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, but all we have is a 4-game sample size. And so far, I don't like what they've done offensively in terms of how reliant they are on the 3-pointer.
yeah, and they have how people like Carnty Towns haven't been able to get in a rhythm. Like in that game, the Bucks game, I feel like they just started forcing him the ball for no reason. Like it just wasn't. They have points where they need to get players involved and not do their system, and sometimes just go out of it. But yeah, they also, I think Quality Towns wasn't included in that first half as often. I think that he needs to be included more in that offensive system. Just more like that. I think that those type of things, and he will adjust. Mike Brown is he will adjust and realize that my all NBA whatever my all NBA player caliber center has 8 points and 12 rebounds. They're shooting terribly. Well, let's get him involved in the offense more, and I think that he will definitely do that. And
Hey,
it's
look,
just
I
growing
think the Knicks
pains.
are going to be a very good offensive team. They'll figure it out. The offense is going to be fine. They're going to be a very good offensive team. I don't want to sound the alarm, but just don't become that Celtics-like team where you're jacking up threes. Because I just think back to the playoffs last year. The Celtics in that series against the Knicks, and the Knicks deserve a lot of credit. Like the Knicks totally deserve credit for winning the series. They won it, no question about it. But the Celtics had a hand in losing that series with the way they played. I mean, which game was it? Like game 2? The Knicks came back Knicks came back from down 20 in game 1 and 2, right? In Boston. And the Knicks came back from double digits down in game 4 at the Garden, at Madison Square Garden. But those first 2 games, like I remember, I don't know if it was both games or it was game 2, where the Celtics were up like 10 points with how much time left? Like 4 minutes left or something like that. They had a double-digit lead late in the fourth quarter, and they're coming down, shacking up threes. And it's like, what are you doing? I mean, the Celtics in that series against the Knicks was like the dumbest approach to playing that any team has ever had in big games in the playoffs. Like it was just like, what what are they doing? And again, the Knicks deserve a ton of credit for winning the series. But it's like that was the way the Celtics played was the stupidest approach and strategy I've ever seen from a team in the playoffs. And from a team of that caliber, the talent of the Boston Celtics being the defending champions. So it's just like, again, don't be that. I'm not saying the Knicks are going to be that, but 54 threes, man, like you should never be shooting 54 threes in a basketball game. Just please don't be that. And just from a standpoint of entertainment too. Like there's the winning part of it, like what really works in terms of winning in the biggest games, in the playoffs, but just the entertainment. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that type of basketball. I'm already frustrated with how many threes these teams take. But it's like, okay, if you're going to shoot something in the mid-30s in terms of the amount of threes, fine. Don't 54 is ridiculous. And I really don't want to see mid-40s either. Like, it's just, to me, that's just way too far in that direction of shooting three-pointers. It's not balanced offensive basketball.
Yeah, I think they're kind of confused in what the philosophy is with Mike Brown. It's more, let's get inside, let's get good looks from three, and we're going to try to get good looks from three because that's going to be our motto. But if we can get easy shots inside, that's what we're going to do it. That's
you can't tell me you're getting 54 good looks from three in a game. And it proved not to be the case because they were, 15 for 54? I mean, if they shot 25 for 54, I'd kind of have to be quiet, I guess. I still would say I don't like it. But they shot 17 for 54. Now they're going to say, oh, well, we had good looks. We just didn't make them. Stop. Like, you went 17 for 54, whatever, like 28%.
Yeah, like that's what I say. It's like there's not going to be 54 good looks on the floor. Yeah, it's just the dumb threes that, lost the Celt. I mean, that didn't had a real hand in them losing that series.
Well, and then it's the transition opportunities for the opponent too. I mean, if you're missing threes, you tend to have longer rebounds on the longer range shots. The other team's able to get in transition. So it's like these people with the analytics, they say, "Oh, the math works." Like that clown in Los Angeles. What's his name? JJ Redick. Oh, the math works. You know how much I love that guy. Well, does the math really work? Like, I agree. Like, it's like that's the thing with the data and the algorithms. It's like, okay, like, I don't know. I'm not an analytics guy, but like, oh, the math works. Just abide by the math. But it's like, but no, like, just how about we abide by the logic? Like, if you're shooting that many threes and you're missing them, well, you're going to have long rebounds. The opponent gets in transition, and then your math isn't working because the opponent's going to come down and score more points.
Yeah, and that's where the Knicks want to live, is in transition. And I think that's also one of the things that Knicks are looking, as you remind me, Knicks are getting in transition more often. And they should
that's
look
what they
more.
were able to do against the Celtics in the playoffs last year because the Celtics just kept chucking threes. So the Knicks, long rebound, out transition, and it benefited the Knicks.
Yeah, and I think just the Knicks now, they're looking to be even a more transition-heavy team. But I think they are taking a little bit too much threes in transition. They need to look inside there, too.
Well, that's the other thing, too. These teams get the long rebound, they get out in transition, and then they shoot the threes and go to the basket because the math works. 3 is more than 2. Well, duh. But it's harder to make a 3-pointer than a 2-pointer. Like, stop reinventing the game, guys. When was basketball invented? Long time ago now. I don't know. I forget the year it was invented. It's well over 100 years. Like, stop reinventing these sports. You could be innovative and do new things, but stop reinventing the games. Stop reinventing the sports. How about this, Jack? Because we talked a lot about the offense. What do you think of the Knicks' defense so far?
The defense of the first 2 games looked well, and I know I'm saying this because, of course they won, but it looked really suffocating. I think OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, as that wing pair has been good. But in the last 2, I mean, just too many open looks from 3. I just feel like I don't. And in the last game, they really just like Giannis, whatever. Okay, Giannis can have 37, but this guy's amazing. But Ryan Rollins, 25 points on efficient shooting. Like, you're letting him shoot 41%. It was not 40. It was way. It was like 50% when I looked. They probably shot few in garbage time they missed or whatever in the late stages. They were shooting about 50% from three. Guarding that 3-point line in this game, you have 115. Just they were leaving players open like Simon Von Tecchio, whatever, from the Heat. I know him, but it's a player that not a lot of people would know. Stepped in there, made threes, and he's a 3-point shooter, and they're leaving him open. I think it was a big shot someone hit on the Heat. Andrew Wiggins. Oh my goodness. It was 105, 110. A late shot clock. The Heat have the ball, and they just leave Andrew Wiggins wide open for no reason at all. It's just, you know, just need to be connected with this new coach. It's not like Davis, but also I've heard good things about him defensively too. Something Mike Brown's a good defensive coach, but hasn't shown that in the last 2 games. But whatever. Has heard some good things about his defense, but the Knicks just need to be more connected, and they were connected in the first 2 games. When they are connected, they are a top flight defensive team, and I mean it. But right now, they are leaving too many shooters wide open, and the rotations just aren't clean at all. But in the first 2 games, they were on, and hoping the first 2 games more of the same, not trying to overreact, but just growing pains, new coach, but not trying to overreact.
Yeah, like is it's all. I don't want to say it's all about the defense, but I think the Knicks' fate this year is going to be predicated on the defense. Like we talk so much about the offense and the concerns there, but they're going to be a good offensive team. I mean, they could cost themselves if they're jacking up too many threes, as we talked about, but I think it's primarily going to come down to how the Knicks defend because once the big games come, once you get to the playoffs, things tighten up, becomes more of a half-court game. I still believe in the adage that defense wins championships. I know there's people that disagree with it now, thinks, that doesn't apply anymore. But no, acknowledge the game's changed. It's more offensive. Really all these sports are pretty much. But you still have to play a
Yeah.
certain level of defense in order to win a championship, or, in the Knicks case, get to the NBA Finals. But ultimately, it's going to be about playing that championship level defense when they need it the most. So, again, it's 4 games, but do you have hope in terms of the Knicks being that type of defensive team where they could play to whatever that standard is, and maybe we could debate that or talk about that, but whatever the standard is that they need to play or anyone needs to play to win a championship, like how do you feel about the prospects for the Knicks playing that level of defense,
It's
where their
hard to tell.
defense could be good enough to get them to the finals, and or win the championship?
It's hard to tell because the first 2 games were great defensively, and everything was working well. McKella had block steals, OG had block steals, Cat had a block. But in the last 2 games, I mean, you're giving up 115. I mean, you could win that game with your offense. 13 for 37 from 3 for the Heat, 38 for 83 from the field. Like you could win that game. But then the Bucks game is just that's just not a good defense. I'm leaning towards yes. I think they can buckle down defensively. I think that it's going to take a lot, especially from a player like Karl-Anthony Towns, who isn't really known as a defender, to just hold his own. But I think they have enough with OG and Mikal Bridges, and all those players surrounding, and especially with, I know, less minutes, more energy. I think that's been a thing too. You could definitely see that as well, come into play with their team. So I think I'm leaning towards yes. I'm definitely leaning towards they have enough.
Yeah, it's tough to tell early on. It's too small a sample size. It just is. I think we got to see a lot more. So I don't know. And again, like you know a lot better than I am. You're watching every second, every game. I'm not. I'm watching enough to be somewhat educated to have a conversation. And I'll watch more and more as we go throughout the season, no question about it. But you get the World Series going on, NFL. But anyway, like it's just too early. Even for the offense. Like again, 54 threes, don't like it. But we'll see how it goes. Like even though like I was very critical of the offense we were talking about, I still said like I think Mike Brown is adaptable and they probably will adapt, and it's not a cause for huge concern, but it's something to monitor. Defensively, it's just it's too early. Like I said, the first 2 games, defense looked good. The next 2, not as good, but we got to see a lot more. We got to see how this defense comes together as the season goes on. Yeah, that's the NBA. Like it's 82 games, long
But
regular
this
season.
is still too early. I mean, it's 82 games, but this is way too early, I feel. But again, Knicks shouldn't be 2-2. They shouldn't. They're a better team than that. But it's an 82 game season, so
And it's like I want them to view the regular season as mattering a lot. Like you always want your team to do that. I think I guess as fans, you can say it's just the regular season doesn't matter much. I know that like the diehard fans like yourself, like you're locked in every game. You love it. You love the sport. You're a basketball junkie. When I was a kid, I don't know if I was a basketball junkie. Like I love basketball, but I was a Knicks diehard. I watched every second of every Knicks game. So like the diehard fans, you're locked in. The more casual fans, it's like regular season NBA. It just doesn't mean much, whatever. Like, let's get to the playoffs. But in reality, it does matter. And for the Knicks, it's you got a first year head coach. You want his system to be implemented. You want to see the progress. You want to see things come together with the offense. You want to see the defense develop and become a defense that could play championship level defense. So you're watching for that in the regular season, but also in terms of wins, like, okay, they're 2-2, whatever, it's early, but I think you like to see the Knicks win, say in the mid 50s, 50, what they win, 51 last year, like 54, 55, 56 games. Like it'd be nice to see, it'd be nice to get the number 1 seed. Like, I don't know what it's going to take to get the 1. Cleveland won 64 last year. Like, I'm going to say they probably don't do that. But, the Knicks should at least be the number 2 seed. Like, if they're anything less than 2, that's a big disappointment of a regular season. Like, they at least need to be the 2, but it's like, why can't they be the 1? Why can't they go toe-to-toe with Cleveland for the 1 seed? I'm not saying it's the most important thing in the world, but I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm talking out of 2 sides of my mouth, but like it's like I'm one that I say regular season, whatever. But no, like that's not really true. Like we got to see things from the Knicks throughout this regular season, and then in terms of the win totals, like I think it does matter that they rack up the wins in the regular season, at least win in the mid 50s. I think more than that'll be tough, but let's see them get to 55 this year.
Well, especially when you bring in this new coach and a new system, you want to see it work. Now, it's not the playoffs, but you want to see it work. And if it doesn't work, then you might not make the playoffs. But it's whatever. You want to see it work in the regular season, and you want to see it come out and happen because, with the new coach, the new adaptability, the Knicks need that time to just be ready for the playoffs and to get those wins and to put themselves and getting themselves an easier path than they already have.
Yeah. I mean, you want to make your path as favorable as possible, So I again, they gotta at least come in the top 2 in the East. I think anything less than that, will be a major disappointment for the regular season. Look, I mean, you could get to the NBA Finals, you could win the championship. It's less than a 2 seed, but I think it is important for the Knicks to have a very good regular season. You got Mike Brown in here. They fired Thibodeau after getting the conference finals. So you take a risk with that. There's a ton of pressure here, so you really need to see things develop and come together in this regular season so that they're going in the playoffs with their best foot forward.
Yep, you want to feel good about them going to playoff time, and that's also a big thing. But we'll get into baseball. Let's get into baseball. I mean, that is the talking point around the world, especially with the big 18 inning game. That I hope I hope that no one around here stayed up for, even anybody over there. That was really bad. For everybody's mental health and getting a good night's sleep. But that game was great. I think that it's been a good series, and I think when my thought going into it was this is a Dodgers thing to lose, and Dodgers are just going to roll their way through. But this Blue Jays team has put up a fight, and not even just a fight. They look like they could really win it. They go close in that 18 inning game, and then they come out and win. And they've been winning, winning other than that 5-1 game, and then you also take out the 18 inning game. But they've been doing more than fighting, looking very, very well, not in the driver's seat, but looking very good to take the World Series. And same with the Dodgers, too. I think it's a 2-2 series, but more than just staying around and fighting. This Toronto Blue Jays team looks like they can go for all.
I tell you, they have done a terrific job in this World Series. It's a series that, I mean, the Blue Jays have been right there with the Dodgers. Game 1, they blew them out in Toronto. Game 2, it was 1-1 going to the 7th in Game 2. Yamamoto pitched a complete game, and he was outstanding. Back-to-back complete games. First time in the playoffs since Kurt Schilling in 2001. But, again, it was 1-1 going to the 7th inning. So the Dodgers take that game, and then you had the classic Game 3 that goes 18 innings. An exhilarating win for whoever wins it, right? So, the Dodgers won it, so an exhilarating win. Freddie Freeman comes through again, and just a devastating loss for Toronto. It's as crushing as it gets to lose a World Series game in 18 innings. But for them to come back last night and win 6-1 and so convincingly, and Guerrero hits the home run. They got down 1-0. Guerrero responds right away. He's just amazing. What a hitter. He's worth every penny of the $500 million that he got. And then they roll from there, and they had their pitching step up. Bieber starting and then hand off to the bullpen. What an amazing job by Toronto last night. So tough to bounce back from Game 3 in that 18 innings, but they did it. And now it's Snell versus Savage tonight, which that matchup favors the Dodgers, and the game's in L.A., but Toronto won Game 1 with that matchup. So, look, Toronto clearly has a chance to win this World Series. I thought Dodgers in 6 beforehand. A lot of people were saying Dodgers in 4, Dodgers in 5. I didn't see that. I just gave Toronto the respect, particularly their offense and how good their offense is, and Guerrero. But this thing's going at least 6. So I still got the Dodgers. I guess I'll stick with 6 games, but man, to me, Toronto, they just have that fight. And they have that lineup. George Springer, I'm looking it up here. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight. He's banged up. He didn't play last night. So if he's out, that's a big loss. If he doesn't come back in this series, I don't see how they win. But again, I'm reading this. It says that John Snyder has painted a much more optimistic picture that Springer could be back in Toronto's lineup. So I guess we'll see.
George Springer was seen getting some running in the outfield ahead of Game 5. I really don't know what that means, but
Yeah, I mean, knowing George Springer, he'll probably be in the lineup tonight. I can actually check
Yeah.
the lineup. Maybe it's out, but look, Toronto has a puncher's chance. I mean, how could you say they don't? I mean, again, like tonight's matchup is the same matchup as game one, and they won that game. I forget what it wound up. It wound up 11-4, but it was 11-2 at one point. Like they absolutely blitzed the Dodgers pitching in that game, and they got to Snell and they got to the bullpen even more. So this has been a really good World Series, and it's got a chance to wind up being a classic World Series. It could wind up being one of the best World Series of all time, really. If we get a dramatic finish to it, if we get 7 games, and then we get a really good classic game 7, like that's the kind of series that it could be. And it's been a really good, really interesting, hotly contested series. You got a juggernaut. You got a team that is going for dynasty status. I think if the Dodgers win this series, then they are a dynasty. If they lose this series, then they're not. And then for Toronto, I mean, just if they're able to beat this juggernaut Dodgers team, it'll go down as one of the great victories in the history of the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the biggest thing in Toronto since Kawhi. So Toronto,
yeah, that was big, but it'll be even bigger. I think the
yeah,
people
yeah.
in Toronto.
I just said since Kawhi. I don't really know.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no, the Raptors winning in 2019, but this will far exceed that. I think in Toronto they care about the Blue Jays more than the Raptors. I mean, the Maple Leafs are king up there. But yeah, I mean they're all jacked up in Toronto for sure, and that their building's going to be going crazy for Game 6, and the same thing for a Game 7. I'll say this, Jack. I think whoever wins tonight's going to win the series. I think if it's 3-2 Toronto, they go home for 2 games. They'll find a way to get it done at home. And the Dodgers, if they're up 3-2, I just think it'll be too much for Toronto to overcome, and the Dodgers will be able to close it out. So tonight's the pivotal Game 5.
tonight's a pivotal game 5, and especially for Toronto. If they win this, they get 2 games in front of that raucous crowd. I feel like
who needs to win? Who needs to win more tonight? Is it Toronto or Los Angeles?
I think that like talent by talent, it should be Toronto. But I feel like you put Toronto if they lose, it stinks. Obviously, it's gonna stink for either team. But I feel like Toronto in front of that raucous crowd. If they go up 3-2, it's going to be a debt to the Dodgers more than like anything else. I think, like in front of that raucous crowd, I feel like it'd be really, really, really hard to lose both games in front of that crowd.
Yeah, I mean, to answer my own question, man, it's tough
But
because
talent
again,
by talent, if you want to say talent by talent, yes.
the Dodgers are clearly the more talented team.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dodgers are just absolutely loaded. But in terms of who needs to win tonight's game more, man, it's like I ask you the question, but I'm struggling to answer because I think it's a very tough question. But I think Toronto needs to win more, even though they're going home for 6 and possibly 7. I think Toronto needs to win more because the Dodgers are the better team. Like, even though if the Dodgers lost tonight, they got to go win 2 games in Toronto. Like, they could do that because they're so good and they're so experienced. Like, so to me, even though the series is going to shift back to Toronto.
It still would stink for the Dodgers, of course, to lose that game.
Well, I think whoever wins tonight's going to win the series, but I do think Toronto needs to win more.
Yeah.
Normally, it's the home team tonight needs to win more, but because of how good the Dodgers are and how experienced they are, they could go to Toronto and win 2 games. If Toronto's down 3-2, yes, they're going home. But even at home, to beat the Dodgers in both Game 6 and 7, I think will be really tough. easier at home than it would have been in Los Angeles. But I'm going to say that Toronto needs this one more tonight than Los Angeles.
I do get that too. I was torn. I was torn between it. Because the Dodgers, their experience, you bring up a great point with that. I feel like the Rockets crowd, anybody that could beat that would be the Dodgers with experience and the talent, of course. I mean, why would they?
Well, I'll tell you this, Jack. Like, if the Dodgers win tonight, then they have Yamamoto going to Game 6. I mean, the guy's been ridiculous. So look at it that way. Like, yes, it's going to Toronto, but you have Yamamoto pitching Game 6. Like, to me, it's Dodgers win tonight. They're locking it up with Yamamoto in Game 6.
Yeah, I just think,
whereas if the Dodgers lose, then it's okay. You got Yamamoto. I know Gosman is going for Toronto in Game 6, but Yamamoto is better than Gosman. Like, to me, that's not close. Gosman, to me, I don't even consider him an ace. He's a number one for Toronto. He's not a lockdown ace. So for Toronto, if they lose, they got to go up against Yamamoto, even though it's at home. Like, that's a daunting task. But for the Dodgers, if they lose tonight, you got Yamamoto. He wins his game. Then you go to Game 7. And then it's a Game 7
from there. Yeah, and then it's Game 7 from there. But
yeah, so like the more I think about it, like that Game 6 matchup with the starting pitchers really makes it imperative for Toronto to win tonight.
Like, I could honestly see, as you said, the Dodgers win this in 6, but also I think it's either, if I was to give you a prediction, it's either Dodgers. I don't think Blue Jays are going to win this in 6. I think that's. I don't feel like that's going to happen. I mean, it could, but
yeah, the only result in this series I'd be shocked by is Toronto in 6.
Yeah,
Toronto in 6 or Toronto in 7 if they lose tonight. I don't see Toronto winning 2 games in a row against the Dodgers anywhere. Because even if the Dodgers are defeated by Toronto in Game 6, well, then you go to Game 7. And again, everybody says, oh, anything could happen, which there's truth to that. But then it's the depth of your pitching staff. The Dodgers are going to have Glasnow lined up to start. Ohtani's going to be available. The Dodgers have a better and deeper pitching staff, which to me is going to favor them in Game 7.
Well, yeah, that's when Ohtani makes his legendary moment, and Vlad's also that player too. I don't want to actually let's scratch that. But yeah, I do think you bring up a great point with the experience and being the Dodgers 2 games anywhere is a daunting task, especially with Yamamoto going and the way he pitched the complete game. So that's just that's where we will stand. And I do think that, both tonight is a big game for the series in general. Not like it's a big game, of course, for the teams, but the series.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I don't think the Blue Jays are beating the Dodgers 2 games in a row. But obviously, if the Blue Jays win tonight, then it would be 2 in a row. And then it's one. They got to win 1 out of 2 in Toronto. But if they lose tonight, the Dodgers take Game 5. Then it's like, okay, the Blue Jays have won 2 games of the series, but they haven't won 2 games in a row. So my confidence in them winning 2 games in a row is not going to be there. Like, okay, now you're down 3-2. You haven't won consecutive games. You're not going to go win consecutive games, even though it's in Toronto. But I think it's a problem for the Blue Jays, too. I just think it's going to be so tough to beat the Dodgers 2 games in a row. So I think it's going to be really tough to do that tonight. And then if Toronto loses tonight, it's going to be really tough to do that in Game 6 and 7.
So this is going to be the game for them. I think that this is big because I think this is a time for the Blue Jays to win 2 games in a row. I think that in this game 5. They were going to win 2 games in a row with Trey Savage against Snell.
You
They've
got Toronto
got
tonight?
what?
You got Toronto tonight?
I do. And it's just a pick. I just purely off vibes. I got Toronto tonight, and I feel like um
Well, I think Snell's going to bounce back and have a lockdown game. So that doesn't bode well for Toronto. But man, I mean, like, of course you can make a case for Toronto tonight. Like that offense, Vlad Guerrero,
yeah.
just these other guys in that lineup too, Kirk, and we'll see if Springer's in there, and Barger, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm getting worse and worse with names. What's the guy's name? Lucas. Like again, that this Bichette. Bichette's back. They got the versatility, they get depth in that lineup, so you could always make a case for Toronto with that lineup.
Yeah, maybe Toronto just cracked the code, and they're such good of an offense they can take Snell 2 games around. And Snell's a great player, but maybe it's the team that just beats him up 2 games in a row. But yeah, I think your point about Snell could bounce back, but I think this offense gonna get it done tonight. That's my opinion. And do you have predictions for the end of the series? You're going Dodgers in 6. I'll say Dodgers in 7. I think it's an epic game 7. I think they get it done.
I'm just looking at something up here, Jack. You Savage, real quick before I give you my prediction. He pitched game 1 at home, and then he pitched at home against the Yankees. And then against the Mariners, he pitched games 2 and 6. So those were at home. So this is his first road start in the postseason. So I'm wondering how he responds on the road. Like, he's had some really good games, and that Yankees game was ridiculous. But how is he going to perform on the road in Dodger Stadium? Like, he seems like he has ice water in his veins, and he's not going to buckle under the pressure, but it's such a tough spot to go into Dodger Stadium as a rookie. It's like your, 8th start in the major leagues? Like, I'm just not going to go with him in that spot, and I'm going to go with Snell bouncing back and pitching a really good game. Maybe even just like a lockdown, absolutely, top-notch performance from Snell tonight. Like, I think Snell's going to be a lot better in this game. And I don't like the Savage in this spot. Like, he hasn't been on the road in the postseason. Again, I don't think he's a guy who's going to buck on the pressure. I just think it's a really tough spot for him. So I'm going to stick with Dodgers in 6. That's what I said before the series. I think Toronto deserves a ton of credit. They're a legit team. They're a big-time offense. But I just think the Dodgers are too good. They're a juggernaut. They're loaded. They have a ton of experience. Like, they're in that pursuit of a dynasty, and I think they're going to get that done. I think they're going to lock that down. I think they win tonight in Dodger Stadium. And then I think they're going to be able to go to Toronto and win a game. And I'm going to say it's game 6 because I just think Yamamoto's been ridiculous. And, it's just going to be too much for Toronto. In another year, with another opponent, this Toronto team would win the World Series. Kind of makes me think about the Phillies 3 years ago. I said that after that World Series. Like, the Phillies played the Astros really well, but the Astros were a juggernaut. They were just too good. And the Phillies got up 2-1 in that series. And after that series, I said, you know what? Like, 75% of the time in the World Series, that Phillies team would have won the World Series. They just ran into a juggernaut. For Toronto this year, I'd say the same thing. Like, 75% of the World Series all time, they would have won. But they're running into a juggernaut, and this juggernaut's even better than the Astros juggernaut from 3 years ago.
Yeah, this is a juggernaut. But I do feel like they get it done tonight. But tomorrow with or on Friday, sorry, with Yamamoto on the mound. I think they lose, and then Game 7, I think, as I said, as I kind of dismissed myself, I do feel like Shohei has his moment in Game 7. Would he be on the mound too? Would they be
Shohei,
on
you
the mound?
said?
Yeah.
Well, Glass now, I think, would start Game 7 because he started Game 3, so
Okay.
he'd be the Game 7 star. But Otani's going to be available. Like, if there's a Game
Yeah.
7, you're going to see Otani pitch in that game. You know, your
All right.
starters would line up Max Scherzer versus Glass now. I would think that's what both teams will go with. They'll keep their rotation, but then again, Otani's going to
You'll see the
pitch. Like,
bullpen and Shohei pitch.
yeah, Snell's going to be available on 2 days rest. Your Savage will be available on 2 days rest. Like, basically everybody's going to be available. I don't know about your Game 6 starters, but that'll be the situation for a Game 7.
So, I just feel like Shohei has his moment in that Game 7 if it goes to there. Vlad's great. He's also a player that could have his moment as well. But
It's a fascinating series. It'll be really exciting. It's been a really good series, and now it has a chance to become a classic World Series.
So, we'll see you guys. Have a nice day and peace out. Let's go
See ya.
Knicks.